But what I want to do today is to share some a new frame that I want, a phrase I should say, that I want to coin, right? And it's called spiritual currency, right? There's all kinds of news out there. I don't know if you guys have been plugged in on what's going on in the world of the internet, but the internet itself is actually being reinvented as we stand here today. And there's this new technology called blockchain technology. Anybody heard of that? 2, 3 people. Wow. That's about right, because I'm hearing that only about 5% of the population in the world actually even knows that it exists. But what we're doing, I know you've heard about things like Uber, right? So we're decentralizing centralized services. And blockchain, and some of you have probably heard about Bitcoin. A few people have heard about Bitcoin. Yeah. Fortunes are being made in those technologies right now, fortunes by everyday people who are getting on the bandwagon like people did years ago in the early 90s, with the internet. And so I've been tracking some of that. And so what this technology is doing is it's offering us new ways of transacting together without any central planning or any central medium like the bank system. So instead of paying heavy fees, to move money or to spend your money, you pick out your phone, and you have lunch, you have dinner, you pay a bill, whatever. The banks are going to become, dare I say, this is going to worry some people, right? But the banks in some ways are going to become obsolete. So this technology is changing things. So I want to ride on that a little bit when I say, today I want to offer you some spiritual currency. So what is spiritual currency? Spiritual currency is different from the currency of that we keep in our wallet, because when we spend it, it's gone. But spiritual currency is something that when you receive that token, when you receive that coin, when you receive that value, you get more of it and you keep it as you give it, right? And that's the truth. That's a spiritual truth. And that in and of itself is spiritual currency. And so what I hope to do today is to share some moments of truth with you. And unfortunately, it goes against what the world presents and what the world is trying to teach us, because the world is wrong. And today, in many, many places around the world and certainly around our country, people are hearing a message that is no longer relevant, but it's not even true. And we're starting to learn about things that we really have been misled about for years and years. And Reverend Claudia alluded to that a little bit, and she talks about it every week. She talked about, the reading this morning was from Jesus, My Autobiography. So if we go out and tell the world that, here, Jesus channeled this book, well, that's blasphemous, and you better step away from that. You better run out of the room or whatever. But here, and this is in the bookstore, Jim, if you need to buy a copy, it's in the bookstore. And he channeled this work recently through Tina Louise Spalding. And it's like less than the cost of a breakfast over here at the Pancake House. And it's a revelation in teaching, and I'm going to touch a little bit on that today, I hope. And then there's another book that we refer to all the time called A Course in Miracles. This is also channel teaching. So what's channel teaching? That is when the non-physical mind of the awakened brotherhood, if I can use that phrase, is communicating through some of us who have elevated their frequency and their vibration to the level of love and have become receivers of that information. And it's real. The world doesn't believe it, and the world runs away from it. But you're not out there. You're in here today. So you're my captive audience for just a few more minutes. We're going to talk about some of those truths, and I hope to share with you some spiritual currency. So the title today is called Artificial Intelligence. And artificial intelligence is changing our world too. It's part of this technology revolution that we're experiencing right now. But artificial intelligence gives me an opportunity, if you will, today to use it as a symbology of what's actually going on with you. Because once you begin to grasp this truth, the spiritual currency, and you can put that in your pocket and it stays with you forever. Because once you ring the bell, you can't unring it. And once you hear the truth, you can't deny it anymore. Once you actually accept it, it'll begin to change your life. As Barbara so eloquently shared when she was doing the reading this morning. And thank you so much, Barbara. That was a beautiful and a wonderful honoring of our community and Claudia and I. So I want to start out by, and some of you have been coming to the 21 Up thing we've been doing, so sometimes I'll do some videos in there. So I crafted a short video that I want to share with you. So we'll get the ball rolling with the video. So let's all join in together, and we're just going to watch this very short clip.
There's a lot of buzz around artificial intelligence at the moment, and the term AI seems to be thrown around a lot. But what is it exactly? First of all, let's look at the definition. To avoid confusion, we have to go back to the earliest and hence purest definition of AI from the time when it was first coined. The official idea and definition of AI was first coined by Jay McCartney in 1955 at the Dartmouth Conference. Of course, there was plenty of research work done on AI by others such as Alan Turing before this, but what they were working on was an undefined field before 1955. Okay, so here's what McCarthy proposed. Quote, "Every aspect of learning, or any other feature of intelligence, can in principle be so precisely described that a machine can be made to simulate it. An attempt will be made to find out how to make machines use language, form abstractions and concepts, solve kinds of problems now reserved for humans, and improve themselves." Translation. In essence, AI is a machine with the ability to solve problems that are usually done by us humans with our natural intelligence. A computer will demonstrate a form of intelligence when it learns how to improve itself at solving these problems.
A computer program beat a human brain at the ancient Chinese board game of Go. The final score 4-1, a triumph for artificial intelligence equipped with human intuition.
Let me introduce you to something I've been working on. It's what the Victorian illusionists would have described as a mechanical marvel, an automaton, a thinking machine. Say hello to Eddie.
Robot, a word coined in 1921 in a science fiction tale by the Czech playwright Karel Čapek. It comes from robota. It means
forced labor.
But these robots were not real. They were not intelligent. They were illusions, a clever combination of mechanical engineering and the deceptiveness of the conjurer's art. Eddie is different. Eddie is real.
I am 176 centimeters tall.
He weighs 300 pounds.
I have 2 7-axis arms,
Torque sensing.
a 360-degree sonar detection system, and come complete with a warranty.
We love robots.
Hi, I'm Eddie. Will you be my friend?
What's happening is the information that's coming to you in 1 year's time now, you're consuming more information than your parents did in 10 or 20 years. Just 100 years ago, you could be proficient in 8 or 9 different industries or 8 or 9 different professions. And now you can only be proficient in a microcosm of any one industry because the information is changing so fast. Now imagine this vehicle as an artificial intelligence that you own, and you get up one morning and your vehicle's gone because it's decided that it doesn't like living with you anymore. And it went out all night long and had a great time. and it's carousing around with some other vehicles out there. Because it has its own free will. Artificial intelligence developing its own free will. Again, now, the ego mind colors everything with fear. And so some of us would look at that situation and also say, oh my God, what are we going to do? But this vehicle can see its environment significantly faster and more reliable than you can. So accidents are going to go down by thousands and thousands of deaths on an annual basis when we let go of the steering wheel. But this artificial intelligence is not going to take off and do what it wants to do. It's not really going to try to control you. It's just doing what it does. It's not going to leave you. It's not going to rail against you. Even if you go out with your hammer and ding it up and beat it up, it's just going to keep doing what it does because it's programmed. It's programmed. And what I want to share with you today, and notice that he got out of the car. So the car's sitting in the middle of the road. So he just left his car sitting in the middle of the road. And it keeps looking at the environment. And eventually, it does something that Reverend Claudia has never been able to do. The first time I met her, we went to lunch, and she tried to perform this act right here. 2/3 of the car was still in the street when she got out. And so it turns itself off, and it's done. It's done its job. We have moved tremendously in the last decades from being the ones who are doing all the work to developing the intelligence that can do that work for us. And so now, eventually, we will have friends and robots and artificial intelligence. And it's going to make our lives easier. There's no doubt about it. And I don't believe personally that we should approach this from an ego mind of fear. What I want to do is to help us to understand that it's just a symbol. It's a symbology of the ego mind. It's the symbology of the split mind. In other words, we are those who will take off and leave all night long and go partying and go crazy and do what we want to do with our free will. We, in fact, said to our Creator, hey, we want to pretend that we could be separate from you. What would that be like? Let's play a game. And we began to experience a split mind. We began to see the world through a different prism, through a different view, through a different pair of glasses. We began to see the world through fear, and albeit also guilt because we thought we had done something against our Creator. And so we created a false intelligence, an artificial intelligence. And that artificial intelligence, I'm here to tell you, is the ego. And it's absolutely insane. It has no idea what's really going on. It does not know, but what its message to you all the time is, oh, I do know. Oh, I know. I mean, I got the education. My parents taught me. My grandparents, my siblings, my peers, my teachers, my society, the media. Oh, yeah, the media is teaching you big time, yes? Right? Are you buying it? Because I'm not buying it. It's all made up. It's all made up. It's all artificial intelligence gone rogue. It really doesn't know what is going on. In the reading I selected this morning from this Jesus My Autobiography, and I really do encourage you, for those that haven't read this, that you might read it. It's in the bookstore. It'll begin to open up your eyes to seeing the world through a brand new prism, through a truth that may have escaped your attention because it escaped my attention for 40-something years. And I was struggling all the time. You must understand what the ego mind is, and you must understand why you have brought it. You brought it. You brought this little sliver of intelligence into this experience, and you believe that it's you because it keeps hypnotizing you and convincing you that it's you. But it's not you. You have not changed how you were created to be. But you brought it with you to this experience, and then you can use it without it taking over your consciousness. Because if you have thoughts of fear, you're listening to the wrong voice. You're listening to an artificial intelligence. If you have thoughts of guilt, you're listening to an artificial intelligence. You're programmed by this voice that's in your mind, and it's done a really good job. And so when you react and judge people, well, of course, that's normal. Why? Because you're running your program. When you get angry at your partner or your kids or your parents or the guy next door or the President of the United States, whatever, you're running your program. But in truth, your program's running you if you're not conscious of it. But once you begin to grasp it, then you can use it without it taking over you. And that's what we're teaching here, so that you can get your power back, because you are amazingly, unbelievably powerful. All power in heaven and earth is yours. So if you see any lack in your life, you see any suffering, you see any struggling, you see any separation, you have been taken over by artificial intelligence. And it's not real, and it has never had any power over you other than what you give it, which is your full attention. So withdraw your attention from that and direct it somewhere else. It is a survival mechanism, and its purpose is to keep you safe in your physical vehicle. And that's all it does. That's all it's ever done. And its whole motivation is to keep you separate from everything, because that's the game you said you wanted to play when you and I said, let's go pretend to be separate from God. And here we are. You do not need to have unpleasant experiences to learn. You don't need that. And sometimes I hear people say, well, I know why I had to do all that suffering, because I got something out of that. Well, you're the one that set it all up. You're running your own program, and then you say, well, look how great I am. I'm torturing myself. I'm wonderful at this. We don't need to do it. That's the good news. There's some spiritual currency right there. Quit torturing yourself. How do I stop doing that? We're going to talk about it. But this is a fiction that humans must suffer. Today is Memorial Day, and I want to take a moment, tissue in hand, because I served 4 years in the military, and I want to honor the other people in this room. If you served in the military or served in any way to support the military, I would appreciate it if you would please stand and let these people give you some love. Come on. Thank you. One and all, thank you. I served in the military too, but when I was 18 years old, I was listening to a world and a worldview and ideas about sacrifice and suffering and the honor in it. And when we began to grasp the truth that we're just running these programs and this is an artificial mind, this is an artificial intelligence, and we're doing this to each other, I began to realize that I was fulfilling somebody else's idea of gaining power and control. And I was being used. I would never dishonor my brothers and sisters who have served in our services and who have worked to protect our country and protect us. It appears that we live in a violent world. But at some point, we have to wake up to the reality that we're the ones that are creating it. It's not being done to us, because God didn't create victims. And in A Course in Miracles, he shares some startling spiritual currency and says that your truth and your strength lies in your defenselessness. And that doesn't sound right. Because the world tells us that, no, we've got to put up our guards, we've got to break out the armor, we've got to load our guns, we've got to protect, we've got to make sacrifice, we've got to run the game, we got to control the world. Again, those ideas are born of fear. Those ideas are born of insanity. Those ideas are truthfully artificial intelligence running its game. And we're running our programs. Waking up or realizing the truth about yourself is not a death process. Death, unfortunately, in the game we're playing, leads to rebirth. Until you begin to understand what is really going on. It's just like washy, rinse, repeat, right? You just keep going round and round and round. I have been to the first grade so many times that I finally started to realize that there was another way of seeing things. And then when I stepped away from my artificial intelligence, when I began to step away from my programmed, conditioned mind, I started to see the world in new ways. Barbara was talking about that when she was sharing the reading this morning. And I think it is important that we seek truth with courage. Doesn't mean we have to argue with anybody else. It's about you finding your way. And everybody's finding their way. That's why you're here today. But I agree that the classes, and it's not about the teachers of the class, it's about the class being your teacher and the information being your teacher, because it's coming from a mind that is enlightened, that is not programmed, that is not conditioned, and is not buying into all of the arguments that the world is presenting to you. And it provides you with something that fear will never give you. And it's called peace. It's called joy. And it's a vibration. It is tangible, and it is palpable, and is recognizable, and it's simple. It's called love. Love your brothers and sisters. It's not difficult. It's not at all. But we have to begin to understand it. We have to begin to understand what's really going on, because we do not escape this life through death. We escape this game, this experience, this cycle of incarnation, and this insanity of suffering, sickness and death. We escape this through the practice of forgiveness. That's it. So the most important thing that I share with people, or try to share with people in our classes as they come and start learning about these simple truths, is how to truly apply forgiveness in your life. And that's another big step. But the biggest step of all is to take the first step, to come to a place like Unity of Toledo, where people are actually daring to speak a different truth than the world has presented, and the authorities and the power structures have presented for thousands of years. And it's influencing every aspect of our life, whether it's religious or secular. It's a bold move, but it requires you. It's in the training of the mind, not the artificial intelligence, but in the training of the mind that's the awareness itself, which is what you are, to have that it has a choice to see the world differently, to listen to a different voice. It's in the training of the mind and in the expression of spiritual nature, your loving nature. It's in the expression of your loving your brothers and sisters that you find balance with the ego mind. The ego's not dangerous unless it's not balanced with love and truth. You can do it for yourself. You can do it yourself. In fact, you must do it yourself, because here's the rub. Nobody else can do it for you. In other words, we got ourselves into this, and we can keep saying, come and fix me, come and fix me, come and fix me. It doesn't work that way, because you're all powerful. Why would you need help from something outside you? It is you. It's always been you. So the spiritual currency that I want to leave you with today is, you don't have to be afraid of artificial intelligence. You only have to balance it with truth. And the truth is that the people sitting next to you and the people outside this door have never truly done anything that has caused them to be anything other than what they actually are, even if they imagine themselves to be something other than that. You are love. So you are loved, you are loving, and you are lovable. forever and ever. Feel it? Say yes. It's real, and it will change your life. Because all that's required is to step away from judgment. Okay, that's a biggie. But take those first few steps. And next time you catch that artificial intelligence, that crazy mind saying, oh, you've got to defend yourself. Oh, you've got to attack this person. Oh, you've got a right to be angry. You have the power to choose differently. You have the power to take back your attention from insanity, return to the heart, raise your vibration, and know that you are loved and you've always been loved. And if that's true about you, it's true about the person that you have a right to be angry about. And that's where forgiveness comes in. And that's why it works. I love you guys. You know that. I love this vibration that we have here together, this acceptance, this embrace, this beautiful family. Yes, there's crap going on. But we're rising above it when we support each other and help each other to remember it's just an illusion. There's another way of seeing things. Thank you so much for letting me share some spiritual currency with you today. I hope you'll hold it in your pocket. And I hope you'll share it with other people, because when you share, and what you share is what you keep. If you share anger, you're keeping it. If you share fear and ideas of guilt, you're keeping it. When you share forgiveness and love, it is given to you. And you can only share what you recognize you already have. So wake up, my friends, my beautiful family. We love you. And thank you so much for letting me talk here.